up breathing. Like, come on!
We need to show people your pre-stream routine. Anyway.
A lot of songs involved.
For the pre-stream Dream Team.
Ooh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the, I guess, the second January producer live stream.
Yeah,
that's right.
But this is the big one, right? Because for a while we've been saying, hey, at the end of January, we're going to give you guys some really awesome updates about the future. And in fact, today we do.
That's what we're here for.
We are, in fact, going to do that. So let's talk about...
So much, in fact, that Musko's getting us in real fast.
That's right, yeah. I'm diving straight through, because I know you guys want to get into the fun stuff. We got a few things. So community topics. Most of the stuff we saw in community topics was especially around Galactic Command and some of the gearing changes we made. So we're going to blend that into the Game Update 5.1 stuff so we can talk about very briefly about what we changed and what we're going to change. Galactic Command gearing kind of falls into that. Game Update 5.2.
War for Iokath.
The War for Iokath.
We have a lot to share. It's a big update.
Yep.
And Charles is going to give you all the gory details on it in a second.
Yeah.
Yep.
We do want to call out story, companions, and group content. Because really, that's part of 5.2, the War for Iokath. But we wanted to call it out in the agenda because we've been saying for a long time that we would address that. Like, the three biggest questions we always get in these streams are, what's happening with story? What about my companions? And what are you doing with group content? And I think we have some good answers for that today. And so we want to call that out early, but we'll get to it later. And Charles will tell you all about it.
And then the last bullet, which is a little bit cut off, but it is the public test server because that's relevant to some of the things we're talking about, and we just wanted to call that out ahead of time so you can prepare yourselves. So let's move forward. Game Update 5.1, Defend the Throne. We're going to give you some more of our faces.
Ooh. What do you think of... my beard's a little bit forked today.
Someone just said Charles's beard looks amazing.
I'm going to work on that over here for a minute. Y'all just carry on without me.
But they said Charles's beard is on point today. I just read that, and then you're worried about it.
Yeah.
He's got very high standards for
I do.
everything.
My OCD is going to drive me crazy. Let me slide this up just a little bit.
All right.
Carry on.
So Game Update 5.1 Defend the Throne went live yesterday, which is exciting. You know, we've just gone through the expansion pack. You've become the most powerful person in the galaxy. You've done all the things required to take control of the throne. Now your job is to defend it.
Right.
And that's kind of going to be a theme through the game update. And I won't spoil into the story part, but obviously what you do as the Galactic Commander is important as we go into the future.
Yep.
Some things came out with this. We don't need to go into it. We've talked about them before, but Master Mode chapters came out, so 25 chapters, all with the hardest difficulty to allow those of you who have the highest levels of skill and the best gear and the strongest companions to challenge yourselves and do that. 5 new uprisings came out with story and veteran mode. Obviously, there was a problem with them not being in Group Finder. That got patched in this afternoon, so that's all fixed now. Apologies for that misstep. We had a bunch of Galactic Command changes coming in, so we've been trying to do our best to really listen to feedback from the community on what we need to improve, and I think we made a great first step with that. But we're seeing a lot of feedback that, you know, some of those things could use some tweaks. You know, potentially it takes too long to still obtain some of that gear, and so we're working through that. We're hearing that feedback, and we have some plans to adjust that. The details are coming soon. I think we have the details today, right?
Not quite, yeah. We were going around working out a few different plans today, so we'll be talking about that real soon, as early as the end of next week, I think.
Yep, hopefully next week we'll talk about that, because again, kind of as Ben said, one of the things that we saw post the 5.1 changes is that the desire to be able to get things faster in the systems that we put in through PvP, more guaranteed drops from ops, all those types of things. We definitely want to work on addressing those soon.
Yeah.
So.
And the way we've been talking about it here is it seems like 1 hour played of Galactic Command isn't rewarding enough, and so we want to make some really meaningful changes. I think
that as well,
we've been doing some tweaks on content types to make it feel more rewarding, but we don't think we've been making meaningful enough changes, and I'll talk about that a little later. We want to do some significant stuff to make that feel much more rewarding for you guys, so we'll talk about that in a little bit as well.
Yep.
And then I think it might be the next slide.
Yep.
Yes.
Hey.
Okay, so we released the Stalwart Leader Pack from the carton market.
And so, I mean, there's no point even having a conversation. The Dread Behemoth is clearly the best thing that exists here, without question.
Yeah.
So we're not even going to argue. We're just going to give them away. So let's go with, we're going to do a raffle in chat. Tate can work on setting it up to type the word Behemoth. Type the word Behemoth into chat. If you don't know how to spell it, I'm sure people in chat will, and you can figure out the correct spelling.
If you get it close enough, I think Tate can give you a pass.
Well, the trick is, does Tate even know how to spell it?
Well, we're about to find out. So feel free to type the word Behemoth into chat.
So we'll give away 5 tanks in honor of our 5-year anniversary.
And I'll tell you my favorite thing is that I forgot, and I told Tate 3, and we always tell Tate the wrong number, so Tate can give away 5.
Okay, perfect.
So it works out perfectly. So thank you for that.
All right.
That tank is cool.
It is very cool.
We're going to go fast because we have lots... Oh, no.
Oh, what have you done?
Nope.
Turned off our camera.
Ah!
So
in Musko's defense, he said, "Let me sit in the middle so I can control that." And I said, "I like sitting in the middle."
Ben's like, I'm middle center. So
Okay.
We're 5 minutes in. Let's talk about what's coming in the future.
Yeah, so this is really exciting. You know, we said, hey, in this stream, we'll talk about what's coming in March and beyond. And so we're excited to announce Game Update 5.2, The War for Iokath. Again, we kind of really want to focus on how do we move the story forward now that you're the ruler of the galaxy? How do we deal with things like companions? And we had this desire after hearing your feedback to bring more companions back. And then what are we going to do with group content?
Yep.
And so the thing that I'm very excited about that we can talk about today is we're going to talk about operations and how operations fit into 5.2. We'll see that. Oh, you guys can stop with Behemoth, by the way. I think
At least 5 of you have typed it by now.
we got you covered.
I think that guy should win except Kaizen.
But it's exciting, and I don't want to. Charles is going to talk you through all the feature set and how it talks into each other. But you know, it's really exciting for us that we get to talk to you about bringing back some operation content into Star Wars: Old Republic. That's going to start with 5.2. The way in which that takes place will be a little bit different, and I'll let Charles kind of talk to you guys about that. But we're just really excited to be getting into some really big, meaty updates that I think is coming with 5.2.
Yeah.
I hope it's Kefis, because I've already seen Kefis mentioned 4 times in chat. So
Iokath Zykan, I think,
correct.
is the greatest boss ever. He stands there and does nothing.
I'll never say no. I'll never say no.
Here, he's picking the winner. Should we call them out first?
Oh, yeah. So why don't you?
Yeah, so Stubbs 1872, Trevelyan. I'm going to go with Trevelyan. That's 2.
Is that a reference to Dragon Age or to GoldenEye? I'm not sure which.
Important information.
Yes.
Lendl, Lendul, Nazral, Nazral, and really
Tejujugwa?
Tehu Jagua.
Deepest apologies for butchering your name.
Tejujagua.
I think I need a vision test. I actually can't see
Tate
those
could probably put those names in chat of the winners. If you've won, please contact us on the official channel through Twitch, and we'll give you your sweet Dread Behemoth giveaways. Charles?
And you
Excellent.
guys can stop the Behemoth. Some people just join and they're like, what's this Behemoth stuff? That was a giveaway. Giveaway's over.
Yeah.
Sorry.
By the way, Tate and Keith both find this hilarious. I guarantee Tate did that intentionally. So thank you, Tate.
Reagan's Wall is correct. I do need a nap. I got in very late last night, so apologies for looking a little sleepy today.
Yep.
But I'm actually super stoked because we're talking about some awesome stuff.
Yep.
War for Iokath. So, as Ben was mentioning, you know, now that you're the ruler of the galaxy, that's kind of where the story is going to be carrying forward. You know, what's the next threat? What's the next big beat going to be? It's going to be about. Oh, are we talking?
Yeah.
Did I get ahead of myself already?
We should do this
You're right.
first before we dive into
Apologies.
the Iokath stuff. I forgot to.
Go for it.
I forgot.
So one of the things that's coming with Game of Thrones 5.2 are the Mastermind uprisings. And so, you know, we've got 10 uprisings out there now. The extra 5 were added on Tuesday. And we think this has been a pretty interesting content, a way that you can jump in, have some fast-paced, really Star Wars iconic type action gameplay. But we were holding back the most difficult mode. Kind of the thinking was, hey, give you guys a chance to play the game, get geared up, and then hit you with a really hard challenge for 4 players. And we know that people want challenge for 8 people as well, and Charles will get to that in a moment. But for those of you that prefer some of that smaller group content, the Master Mode Uprisings will be coming. The goal is for them to have some additional mechanics, which I think will be really exciting. So not only are you doing something that's really hard, it'll be different, sometimes in small ways and sometimes in more meaningful ways than what you've been playing today. So they'll be coming as well, which we're excited for.
Yep.
Now,
we hoodwinked.
we were saying Charles was tired and didn't know what the hell he was doing.
That's my
that
fault.
was our
I
first
forgot.
example.
I
All
forgot.
right.
That's a good
Now
one.
let's talk
Good
about
segue.
new stuff.
All right.
New stuff.
Cutting me
Not
loose.
that most of the uprisings
Yes.
aren't new stuff, because they are new stuff, but this is new stuff.
So, as part of this story update, we're going to be returning to the planet Iokath, which, minor spoilers, back in Knights of the Eternal Throne, was kind of left uninhabitable or unable to be explored because of a large burst of radiation, which made it impossible for you and your alliance to really fully explore that planet. So as this update begins, that has subsided. Your alliance has deployed an initial kind of scouting party to check things out, following up rumors that there's a super weapon on this planet that's been detected, and you don't want it to fall into the wrong hands. But as soon as your scouts arrive, we'll learn some new interesting things, such as they also find some scouts from some other people, the Galactic Republic and the Sith Empire. All 3 groups have moved in on Iokath, and it's going to be up to you as the Alliance commander to choose a side between them, choose which side to support, and ultimately lead the charge to that super weapon and secure it against your enemies.
That's right. Because, I mean, you're the Alliance commander, so you're
you're
almost greater than the Republic or the Empire.
You definitely are packing a big punch. So, certainly a lot of their motivation is going to be, how do we stand up to this new power, this new alliance?
I know you were really excited about this because for a while you said, hey, I want to kind of get back to the Empire and Republic stuff.
Yeah,
it's been great that we've all been united in this common fight, but there's a lot of unresolved things that you wanted to tell story-wise, and I think this is a great chance to get back to that. And when we go to cantinas and events, our fans always say the same thing, like, I really want to fight against the Empire or the Republic again. Will I ever get a chance to do that?
Here you go.
There you go.
It's coming real soon. So that's going to mean some returning characters?
I was going to say, because one of the other things that Charles says all the time, and it comes up all the time,
yeah.
When are my companions coming back?
Yeah.
So, with that...
Hey, look at that. We got 2 new returning companions. Good old Malavai Quinn will be returning if you should side with the Empire. He'll be fighting by your side. Along with Empress Asina, not as a companion. She's still in charge of the Empire. She's got things to do. And then if you're a Republic player, obviously a character close to my heart, Alara Dorn will be returning as your ally if you side with the Republic, along with fighting alongside Jace Malcolm, Supreme Commander.
So is the only reason she's coming back because you wrote the original Trooper story? Or is there a different reason?
Wow, man.
I will be 100% truth here. I did not propose the returning companions.
That's why I asked. I wanted to get that out there because I knew it wasn't your suggestion.
I just feverishly approved them.
Now, in other news, I've talked about this before. My main that I played since launch, and I've played lots of different characters, but the main one is the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
I dislike Malavi Quinn a lot. Like, what can I expect in my interaction with him?
Well, we've, in general, been a little more open to letting our players... Make difficult decisions about companion characters whom they don't approve of. Sometimes in a bloody or murderous way. So
other times not.
Other times not. But I'm pretty excited about this storyline. I think Ben will be very excited about it.
To play this on the live environment.
Yeah, I think y'all will really dig it too.
Yeah. So, because I won't even ask the question because it's all over chat of can you kill Quinn? That's the answer that I...
We're not going to answer that.
Tune in and find out.
Yeah, so one of the other questions that I've seen quite a bit, just in case someone missed it early on, is about gear and Galactic Command. So one of the things we talked about earlier is that the changes that came in 5.1 are by no means the end of the changes that we're making.
Yeah, it's just the beginning.
We're talking about a lot of the changes that we're going to make coming off of 5.1 to make the things we implemented in 5.1 faster, make Galactic Command faster, all of those things, and we'll be talking about that by the latest of next week.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so.
I put them on the spot.
I've said it now. I'm on the line one way or the other. Let's do it.
Sorry, just as a note for anyone asking that question.
Some returning companions.
But what is... so what, the question then becomes, like, what is the form of this story? How do we actually experience it?
Right, because one of the questions we get a lot is, can I explore the planet?
Right.
How does any of that work with...
Obviously, we love doing the story chapters. They're amazing. They're really cool. But a lot of players wanted some of the more free-form exploration, wanted the kind of open areas, and so we're bringing one of those in. This is a daily area. Iokath has a crit path, storyline, just like chapters, just like other stuff we've done in the past, where you will, pursue this storyline where you choose between the Republic and Empire as your ally, as your alliance tries to seize this super weapon, and as you explore and battle your way across Iokath. So that's going to be, have one storyline playthrough as you go through it, and then that will unlock repeatable missions that you can do solo or with your friends after that is complete.
So I don't know if you want to talk about this at all because it could be spoilery. So feel free to just say
cut you off.
That's a silly suggestion. But in this daily area, you can do things that are very different than other daily areas. Is there anything that we can talk about there? A little couple hints, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we've added some new gameplay. Certainly, in the recent chapters, like being able to take command of a walker on Voss or on Odessen. We're definitely looking into doing stuff like that and expanding those options even into some new areas. Which I won't get into quite yet.
That was something my first impression kind of going through it and taking a look at it was, oh wow, this feels like a V2.0 of a daily area.
Yeah, very much so.
Taken all those learnings from before and made some cool new stuff.
Yeah, that was very much our goal, right? We wanted to, not just do a daily area, but do a new daily area, something that had new and exciting stuff that players hadn't seen before, really show that these have grown and become something even cooler.
So one of the side parts of a daily area that we've seen a lot of requests for over time is reputation. Does that mean that it will be coming with a new reputation
Absolutely.
as well?
Depending, again, which side you choose, you'll have a reputation track. And no, you do not get an immediate 100 in the faction faction if you choose your own faction. It's been a few years. You've been commanding a giant army of people that you mostly stole from them, so you may need to get back into their good graces a little bit.
Yep.
Cool.
So,
but then, of course, all of this leads to the super weapon, which it turns out is, in fact, the boss of the operation. Now, we're doing things a little differently this year. We really kind of talked amongst ourselves. We kind of had two options. We could either save up, build up all the bosses, there are 5 in total, and release that towards the end of the year, like in the fall or so, or we could let y'all start playing them as we build them. And that's what we chose to do. We really talked a lot amongst ourselves, with our players, with our influencers, with focus groups, with folks here in the studio who are big on operations, and ultimately that was what we decided was the better route to go. So 5.2 will be introducing the first boss out of 5. All 5 of those will be released before the end of the year. We're going to nail that schedule down much more specifically as we get closer to releasing the first one. We'll give you the details on when you can expect each of the follow-ups. But in general, that's how it's going to work. You'll come in, you'll do the first boss, and then the next one will come a little while later, next one will come a little while later, and that op will build and build and build, and obviously we'll be increasing the challenge level as that goes along as well. It's going to be really cool and really let you feel that progression as you move through the bosses.
Is there any way we could get like some kind of sneak peek what that boss will be?
It's funny you should mention that. I feel like that's what the next slide is.
What just happened?
So the one thing
Ben
missing...
home run pitching himself. I love this. This is pretty good.
So the one thing missing from this picture is a banana for scale, or in this case, really a player would be a better scale. I can't pinch the screen here, but your player character comes up roughly like mid-shin on this guy.
Mid-shin. Okay,
I think. Musco, you were in the playtest as well. Does that seem about right?
Pretty accurate. Yeah, you come up to about the kneecap.
Yeah, at the most. So the boss is Tithe, who those of you who are into the lore may remember as the god of rage in the Zakulan pantheon, which is kind of an interesting little tidbit. I'm not going to go into that too much more. You may also notice that his appearance is reminiscent of something in the game as well. These all tie together for various story reasons that I don't want to spoil too much of yet. But yes, as the god of rage, Tithe, much of his mechanic is going to revolve around controlling that rage, building it up, or dropping it down to your group's advantage. You're definitely going to need a hardcore group of players, 8 players, to take him on and defeat him. Again, just being the first challenge out of 5 that you're going to face as you work your way potentially through some other gods.
Yep. And so one of the things that we definitely want to talk about, you'll notice it was one of the last notes, is PTS. So we're talking about exactly when and where, but our goal is to get this on PTS pretty soon from right now, hopefully in the next 2 weeks-ish, week or two. We'll have more timing on what that'll look like. We're also talking about whether we're going to do an open PTS right away or we'll do a closed PTS for some of this and then open it later. We're still working all of that out, but I'll be talking to you guys on the forums and stuff about when you'll be able to test this, because our goal is we want you guys to help us along the way in making sure that this is fun, challenging, and all that craziness.
I think that's really one of the advantages of this kind of release thing too, right? We can put out the first boss. We can, of course, do it on PTS first, build that up, get people's feedback on it, use that as we could develop the further ones, and really build this operation entirely to cater to y'all as much as we can, the hardcore ops players.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. This is kind of unrelated, but you guys went out and did some voice recording the last couple of days, where you did the voice recording for this guy. And,
we were a little, there was a lot of yelling with this one, so we wanted to be sure he was okay. We took a lot of breaks as much as possible, but yeah, it's an old friend of ours returning.
We were going to say we're going to issue a challenge, right? Which is, we don't want to tell you who's doing the VO for it, but it's someone that we're very excited about. Right. So when this comes out, we want to see if you guys can guess who it is and let us know.
So some of the questions that we're seeing is how many difficulty modes will come out? Will there be 8 and 16?
Right. So right now the plan is for story and story and veteran to come out with the first pass, and then we would add master to the first boss when the second boss comes out. Still kind of firming those plans up. That might change. Let us know what you think.
Yep.
But we think that would give it a better sense of progression as you move through the different bosses.
Yeah, especially figuring out like where the mechanics are. Like as Charles said, we literally just did a playtest of this Monday, and we're like, this might be master mechanics because it's ridiculous. So when we get to PTS is when this will be really important.
The person doing it also did the Revenant encounter.
Correct.
That's any indication for the caliber of challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be like that, right?
We're honestly, if anything, we're looking to make, especially story mode ops, a little more accessible, if anything, than they have been in the past. But yeah, the
this
The
specific
gentleman in
designer
charge of this is
very good at making operation bosses, and he very much enjoys to make them fun and complicated.
And some of the other questions that I've seen, some of the more specific stuff, like how will gear work with dropping from this boss and some of that stuff.
We'll definitely get into that more.
We'll get into that later, and that's really important for PTS as well, just to let us know should this boss guarantee loot, which it will, and all of that kind of stuff will be important to get then. I also saw a note, too, about I would rather have all 5 bosses of the op and not just one. That's kind of part of why we made this decision, though, because then you still have that option.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds flippant, like you couldn't just wait and play all 5 at the end if you want, but we really felt like there were a lot of players who would want to start diving into this as soon as possible, and so we really wanted to service that. You can play it however you want, really. It's, wait until a few bosses are out, play them all at once. It's that kind of bingey Netflix kind of idea, right? You can kind of explore it at your own pace.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, we spent a lot of energy reaching out to our influencer programs. We did a whole bunch of focus groups, getting existing players, people that we don't have relationships with, so it's like a fresh insight, as well as asking around a lot. And the most common thing was we'd rather have it as you finish them instead of wait. And so that's why we've gone with that approach. We see that you could make arguments for both being valid, but this was the more popular one, and so we tried to just take that feedback and make that decision. So
very much.
I think it's going to work out really well.
Yeah, I'm really excited for y'all to start digging into these.
One of the story questions that I've seen relating back to Iokath is, does that mean I can switch factions?
You can choose to side with the opposite faction that your character started with. That does not mean your character suddenly becomes a member of that faction. You are still the commander of the alliance. You are still representing your own faction in this conflict. So you're not going to change sides necessarily, but it will obviously have huge impact on the characters, on your relationships with members of those factions. Alara doesn't like it if you side with the Empire, for example. She's pretty diehard Republic. So there's lots of stuff like that that's going to be a major fallout of that decision. But yes, in fact, if you are currently a Jedi Knight, you can, if you want to, choose to side with the Empire in this conflict. Perhaps because they stood up and actually supported you against Phelan, where the Republic didn't. Just saying.
Fair enough.
Alrighty.
Oh, that's an interesting question. That someone they didn't say it as a question, but they put 12x CXP weekends in all caps.
Yeah. So, is that our next thing? Oh, whoa! All right. So they are they're all the big features. So let's recap real quick. So what is in Game Update 5.2? We have Master Mode Uprisings coming for all 10 Uprisings. So lots of challenge there.
Yep. With new mechanics on
with new
on
mechanics. And some of them will have more and some will have less. But yes, there's going to be a different challenge, both gear-wise, but also in learning what to do.
Yep.
We've got a brand new story, or a continuation of the story, I should say, into an Iokath daily area, where you get to choose your side, either fight for the Republic or for the Empire. And then that ties into the start of a new operation that's coming back to the game, where the first boss will be available. His name is Tyth. He's a... Why am I doing your
I don't know.
I'm just going there.
You're so excited. I just wanted to let
I'm
you
really
know.
excited. Yeah, it's really fun. Okay, what did I miss? What else is coming in 5.2? Did I get them all? Oh, and we have 2 returning companions as part of that, right?
Yep.
So they're the 4 big points. So one of the biggest parts of this, in our mind, was there's all this challenge for group content, right, between the Master Mode and Master Mode Uprisings and also the Operation Boss. And so we want to really make sure that everyone has a chance to be prepared for that, to get the gear that you need and get the command ranks that you need. And we talked earlier how we introduced a new way to obtain gear, both Operation players and PvP players, and there's been some feedback that we missed a couple of things, that it's a little too grindy, a little too long. So the first thing, like we said earlier, we're going to look to do is address that. We'll either make it easier to obtain the gear and just look at some of the data from people playing it from the last couple of days, and then we'll communicate some changes that we hope will make that easier for you.
Yeah, certainly a general consensus is people want it to be faster and more consistent, and we hear that, and we're absolutely looking at doing it.
And then the second big piece of feedback is, and I mentioned it at the start, which is it feels like 1 hour played in Galactic Command isn't rewarding as it should be. And we don't like that. We really want you guys, when you spend an hour in the game, to feel like you're getting rewarded for doing that. Now, obviously, if you do harder content, you get more rewards. If you do easier content, you get less rewards. But one of the things we want to do is introduce bonus command experience. So we're going to run an event, and the details are still pending, but it will be coming soon, TM, I guess.
Yeah.
But we'll announce that in the next couple of days. Our goal is within 2 to 4 weeks to start this, and we'll be doing the goal is to basically double the amount of experience that you get off the bat. So, right now, let's say that you get a crate every 60 minutes with the way that you play, you'd get one every 30 minutes. And we think that's a really good starting point to say, hey, we want this to be twice as fast for you guys getting crates, opening that up, getting more gear, getting more power so that you're prepared and ready for the war for Iokath and everyone can get the gear that they need to hit these challenges.
Yep. And just to reiterate what Ben said before that is, although on top of speeding up getting CXP, to also make it so that from the other side with some of the changes we introduced in 5.1, that you're getting gear faster and more consistently from that method as well. Mm-hmm. We understand that there's frustration around getting things from command crates, so we want to make sure that we're covering it from both sides.
Yeah. And give us some feedback on that. Like, I'm saying our goal is to double how fast it is, but let us know what you guys think. I mean, we're working that out now. If you say 100 million times as fast, like, we'll kind of eye roll. But if you guys have serious suggestions, we'd love to get them on the forums, like, with some reasoning behind it, right? Which is, hey, I play this way and I get something about this frequently, and I feel like, for me, what would make it really fun is to get this frequency of getting a command rank. I think that's the kind of feedback that's really useful. Just saying make it 1,000,000 times faster actually doesn't help us, but if you give some reasoning and some thoughtfulness into it, that's the kind of feedback that's really very helpful, and Charles and the design team are reviewing all of that now and trying to work out the right number. So it's a perfect time in the next couple of days to get that feedback over.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I've seen, and I don't know why it completely slipped my brain, I've seen the word legacy come up a lot as well.
Yeah.
We know that that's a concern as well about how easily you can move things around between your legacy.
Right.
We're
building up your alts a little faster through Galactic Command as well.
Right. Yeah. Moving currencies around. We're talking about all those options.
We talked about some things becoming bind on legacy, and so we got to work that out.
Yeah. So as soon as we have those details, we'll announce them, because we definitely see that as one of the main factors going forward of things to fix.
Yep.
So I saw a question that was the date for 5.2.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't talk about that.
We didn't mention that at all, no.
So right now we're looking at the end of March or the very first part of April will be the goal. We're going to nail down specifically that date.
Yep.
So pretty soon, it's, we're basically in February, so we're looking at a few weeks. And as late in March or as early in April as it works out. Again, the detail. There's a few things that in the next week or two will work out, and then we can communicate that. But for those of you who are desperate, say, for the operation, you can set your calendar around the start of April is probably a good guide for when that's going to
And to be fair, it'll be on PTS before then. Now, again, it's possible it may be under a closed PTS, but even if we do a closed, we're going to set up a system so that people can try to apply and get into closed PTS more openly. So either way, you should have the opportunity to play it much sooner.
Right. It was like a 3 months so soon. Okay, 8 weeks probably is closer than it is to 12 weeks. So it's not quite that long.
Yeah, I saw some questions about companions, like if you choose one faction, will that control which companions you get? It absolutely can. So if you care about which companion you get, you might want to factor that into your decision making. Will this affect future companions, like say Felix Arreso probably also cares that you side with the Republic more than the Empire. I'm not saying there are any plans around that yet, but if I were to write a story, it would be pretty hard to justify it. So again, if you have really diehard Republic companions that you're looking forward to in the future, you may want to factor that into your decision making. Just going to say that.
So one of the questions, I'll say questions because it's just a bunch that I've seen, is what about Starfighter, Strongholds, War Zones, all that type of stuff? I think that, and you guys can answer if I'm wrong, but really with Game Update 5.2, we really wanted to signal, like we've been talking about, that we were going to refocus on this type of content, daily areas, group content like operations. So those of you that like things that aren't operations and you don't feel like you were covered in 5.2, just know that this is kind of where we're swinging our focus back. Not to say we're going to hit every branch, but...
Or that we have zero interest in any of those things, because we do. We just don't have any of those to announce quite yet.
Some comments coming up about free-to-play and preferred. We're always open to suggestions around that. We were pretty firm on our stance about believing that the end game progression is really something that should be for the people that are subscribing, the most powerful gear, the hardest content. But we're open to suggestions. Again, I would just keep suggesting them. We don't have any news or changes on that. But we're always open to hearing that feedback.
And that's where bring back weekly passes. Those are the kinds of things we talk about a lot internally, about figuring out ways to give access to people. So
and again, bring back weekly passes. It's not so straightforward in the current system because it's really about access to Galactic Command or not. That's what gives you access to everything else. And so if you guys have specific suggestions about that, we'd love to hear them on the forums for great ways you think it could work. we'd love to hear some alternatives and simply bring back the passes. I think there could be more interesting ways you could get the same result, and so if you guys have those suggestions, we'd certainly love to hear them.
Yep. We're at 4:30. That was a very fast 30-minute stream. Very, very fast. So shall we go through the wrap-up, and then you can grab questions that pop up as well?
Yeah.
Who wants to do the wrap-up?
I'll do it.
Yeah.
So Defend the Throne went live. I actually suggested that name. It's not a big deal. It doesn't really matter. But we're really excited that went out with the 5 new uprisings that are all in Group Finder as of this afternoon. For those of you that want to jump in there and play it, please do. They're really fun. I think the team learned a lot from the first 5 uprisings, and you can see those improvements in the second 5, which is really exciting. The master mode for all 25 chapters is out. I'd love to hear if anyone can get through all of them. I know a bunch of us struggled, so we'd love to hear how you guys go there. And of course, the changes to gearing went in, and we talked about there's some additional improvements we want to make, and we openly say, there's going to be a lot of Galactic Command tweaks, forever, potentially, just making sure that as time goes by, the way the system works is fun for the player base. And, the short-term things are we're going to look at how hard it is to obtain the changes we made now, so how many tokens and stuff are required. Maybe we make that a bit easier. And secondly, hopefully in the next ideally 2 weeks, but upper end 4 weeks, we'll put in the command experience bonus that's all about getting prepared for game update 5.2 and lets you kind of earn things twice as fast. And again, please suggest what you guys think the correct rate would be for that. And then 5.2 is coming. I stole the thunder last time. Why don't you just quickly recap game update 5.2 that's coming in the first half of April. If we can do late March, we will, but at this point, it's probably that first little bit of April.
Yeah. So we got Master Mode Uprisings. Obviously, that's going to be the most challenging version of Uprisings. You're definitely going to need a hardcore group of 4 to take those on. New storyline as the Republic and the Empire join the battle with your alliance for Iokath, where you're going to choose which side to ally with as your alliance tries to take control of a super weapon that could tilt the scales. 2 returning companions, Malavai Quinn and Alara Dorn. New daily area, which is where we're going to be telling that story, and then have repeatable missions with a reputation track and all of that good stuff for you to join in with your friends or play solo afterwards. And a new operation where the first boss is coming in 5.2, and additional bosses will all be coming out on a cadence that will end before the end of the year. Again, with more detail on that release schedule as we get closer to it.
So one of the good questions that I saw is...
and BTS coming very soon.
Yep. Is a 2-parter. One is, do you have to play the operation to get the entire scope of the story for Iokath?
Yes and no. So the core part, most of the story kind of gets wrapped up in and of itself. It's a little like Oricon in that way. But there's I don't want to get into it too much because I want to spoil it. But the operation bosses are very much tied to that story, but they'll also be kind of their own little track off to the side in a way. So yes, to get the 100% full story experience, you would want to do the operation as well. But you will definitely be able to continue the story moving forward without any negative consequences if you don't do the op, if you're not that kind of player.
And then the second part of that question was, will the rest of the ops bosses also come with a wrapper of story similar to what's happening in this?
Yeah, so essentially the idea is that they all tie into this storyline that will all be one progression, essentially one operation that's building up over the course of the year. So they will each have kind of their own kind of introduction, and they'll all tie in together. And once you get into it, it'll be obvious how that will work as you see. Again, it's starting with Tithe. There may be some other ones that fall into that pantheon as you move forward.
So another question. I'll just paraphrase what I think the meaning is. Will we do anything to rebalance CXP for ops? So we have some stuff in the works.
Absolutely.
It'll be coming before 5.2. I don't think we've locked in the actual date, but in the next...
But much sooner than that, yeah.
Much sooner than that. So probably 4 to 8 weeks, we'll have that coming out, just to make that feel more rewarding. We think there was some imbalances there, and so we're going to make some adjustments to that.
And I saw this question. No, you do not have to complete the operation to get either companion.
No, correct. The companions return are separate from the operation.
So we're at 4:35. Is there anything you want to try to address? Any other? I'm trying to think if there's any other.
If we see more questions.
Any plans on scrapping Galactic Command? No.
No, I mean, like, that's not a thing, right? I think there is a whole lot of ways we can continue to improve Galactic Command.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever going to be the answer, right? I mean, we might make so many changes that the system feels like something completely different over time.
Yeah.
Sure. But I think we really think it's important to have a progression system that kicks in after you hit max level, and Galactic Command is that system. The changes we make to make sure that everyone is enjoying it and having fun with it, they're things that we're committed to doing. And so the answer is kind of no, but that doesn't limit the scope of the changes. We can change as much of it as we need to make sure that players are enjoying it.
Yeah. All right, so we have... Does something else? No. So we have a video, which if you've already seen it, you may have already seen it because it came out Tuesday. It's a trailer for Defend the Throne.
Yeah.
And so I'll be hosting a recap of everything that we talked about here. Again, feedback that you guys have, Galactic Command, getting into PTS, playing the operations, what we're doing with content. Please keep all of it coming, forever and always.
And just remember that we see all that stuff. Sometimes we don't, like Charles and I don't have the time to reply to the threads, but Eric is very good at wrapping up all that information, and we sit down and talk about it every day about the things that are happening in the forums.
Yeah, I'm on the forums, I'm on Reddit, I'm on Twitter, and every Facebook, not all day. I do actually do some work, but more of the day than I probably should be, and constantly looking for that feedback. So,
so we
please
definitely
don't
see it.
hesitate. Yeah.
And Keith just pointed this out to us. Saw someone asking about PAX South.
Oh, yes.
So we are not having a cantina at PAX South. Asterisk, though, Charles and I think some other people as well maybe, are going to be probably crashing the Bad Feeling podcast party that they're throwing on Saturday nights.
Mm-hmm.
So look for those details on where they're going to be, and we will be unofficially maybe 100% crashing that party.
Also, I mean, I'll be there the entire weekend. I may or may not be dressed as a Jedi or Mandalorian at various points in time. If you see me around, don't even hesitate. Feel free to come hit me up. We can chat about the game, chat about whatever you want.
Yep. And I saw a question earlier about similar tone about Star Wars Celebration. We are...
I will also be there.
Yeah,
for sure.
We are almost 100% going to be at Celebration, probably doing a cantina there. We're just locking down details. But yeah, if we have anything to say about it, which we do, then we'll be at Celebration. So 99.9% chance that we'll be there.
Yeah.
Don't book flights until you actually see us announcing something, but we should be there.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody so much for tuning in.
Yeah, we'll keep giving you guys updates on timing of PTS, when you can expect more of these things, when future changes are coming for Galactic Command, because they're coming. We'll tell you about when all that stuff's coming, hopefully very, very soon in the next few days. So, thank you for tuning in.
Thanks again for joining us. We love hanging out with everyone on the stream, and we appreciate you coming.